Apa yang dia tak suka pasal Malaysia ni ialah pasal... Hai semua, terima kasih singgah di channel saya Walas Klasik. Harap semua sihat-sihat sahaja ya. Perasan tak ke belakangan ni ramai sangat pelancong, especially daripada negara barat. Mereka datang melancong di Malaysia. Walaupun ramai cakap Malaysia ni underrated lah, macam ni lah, macam tu lah. Tapi sekarang mereka dah sedar Malaysia ni best sangat lah untuk datang singgah di sini, makan-makan, jalan-jalan. Malah di negeri Perak ni pun, saya perasan bila saya pergi keluar di Ipoh ni pun ramai sangat pelancong daripada luar negara. Jadi channel yang satu yang saya pilih hari ni ialah channel Emilia NJP Abroad. Mereka ni jujur lah, best suka tengok video diorang tau. Mereka ni cakap secara jujur lah kan. Dia kata okey apa yang mereka suka dan apa yang mereka tak suka. Macam tu best lah kan. Kata di Malaysia ni, diorang suka sangat sebab orang Malaysia ni tak paksa dia orang belajar bahasa Malay katanya. Tapi dia ni datang daripada Amerika. Dia kata di Latin America, especially macam France, Spain tu semua, dia orang kena cakap bahasa Spanish ataupun French. Dia kata Malaysia ni macam Albania lah. Albania, dia kata di Albania pun tak dipaksa lah. Tapi masuk Malaysia ni, dah lah orang semua dah boleh berbahasa Inggeris. Jadi mereka kata malas lah dalam umur 50-an ni dia nak belajar bahasa pula. Tapi di sini tak ada paksaan katanya. Jadi dia kata bila pergi jumpa doktor ke, pergi nak ambil ubat ke, senang aja. Doktor pun boleh cakap bahasa Inggeris, nurse pun boleh cakap bahasa Inggeris. Tapi bukan macam tu tau di France ke di Spain. Dia orang kena cakap bahasa dia orang, kena belajar lah. Jadi di sini dia kata senang aja di Malaysia ni.
Okay, Amelia, we've been here over 2 months here in Kuala Lumpur, so I think it's time to do our exploratory trip analysis video. We're going to look at 10 factors that matter most to us and probably to you if you're looking for a place to move to abroad. So we're going to give each factor a thumbs up or a thumbs down and then let you know at the end if we think Kuala Lumpur is a good place to move to abroad.
All right, so we're going to start with the language barrier, and I have to say it has been a lot easier to communicate here than I was anticipating.
I've noticed that there's 3 different types of countries. The first type is if you move there, you're going to have to learn the local language because most people do not speak English. Like if you go to an emergency room, there's a good chance the doctor and the nurse are not going to speak English. Countries in Latin America mostly fall into that. There are pockets of English-speaking cities mainly where you can go and speak English pretty easily. But for the most part, you're going to have to learn Spanish in Latin America. The next type is where everybody speaks English, but they expect you to learn their local language. France and Spain fall into that category, and a lot of the other European countries. It's understandable. Then there's the third type of country like Malaysia, where almost everyone speaks English and they do not expect you to learn Malay. We found the same thing to be true in Albania. They don't expect you to learn Albanian, and it makes it really easy for us old-timer English speakers to not have to try to master a new language in our 50s.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. I was so surprised by the amount of English that we've been hearing on the radio, just reading on the signs. And like JP said, almost everybody here in Kuala Lumpur speaks English. So I got to give the language barrier here a huge thumbs up because there really isn't one at all.
The next factor we always like to look at is safety and stability. And it's so safe here. We walk around at night by ourselves. We've had locals tell us we don't have to worry about our safety. We've seen a couple of signs to watch out for pickpockets in tourist areas, but for the most part, it's extremely safe here.
Yes, and I have felt safe going out by myself. Nobody has bothered me. And I see a lot of other people out walking by themselves all the time. I mean, of course, you always need to be aware of your surroundings and when you're in a crowded area, but I just don't feel nervous when I'm out and about. Also, the Global Peace Index ranked Malaysia as number 10, which is, to me, a really good sign.
Yeah, it is. And Amelia went out and filmed her own solo vlog, the very first and only solo vlog she's done on our channel. So if you missed that, you should check it out next. It's awesome. I'm so impressed with the work she did on that.
Thank you.
But she did that all by herself, out filming on the street and the shops and stuff, and she didn't have it, wasn't worried about anything.
No, not at all. I'm giving Kuala Lumpur a thumbs up as well because we both feel very safe here.
Yep, we do. Alright.
Apa yang dia tak suka pasal Malaysia ni ialah pasal cuaca. Kalau panas, panas terik, berpeluh-peluh, dia tak boleh tak keluar, jalan-jalan, melekit-lekit. Dan dia kata kalau hujan, hujan lebat sangat, ribut. Oi Bina, oi, kita orang pun dah biasa dengan cuaca ni. Pasal tu lah kita ada mall, pasar raya yang besar-besar dekat Malaysia ni. Siap dengan aircon yang best juga. Dan kita bolehlah masuk dalam pasar raya, mall-mall ni berehat, minum-minum ke, bersembang-sembang ke, nak beli apa-apa ke, kita belilah. Adalah orang barat ni kan, dia tanya, kenapa kat Malaysia ni mall dia besar-besar macam ni? Dia cakap, pasal cuaca kita lah. Kalau hujan pun kita masuk mall, kalau panas pun kita masuk mall. Pasal tu lah kita ada mall-mall kan, betul tak?
All right, next up are weather and natural disasters. I'm going to let Amelia talk about this. She's struggling with the weather.
I'm struggling with the heat and the humidity. I have been very hot and pretty sweaty here, quite a bit, and it's not my favorite feeling. And I like to be outdoors, and it's hard to enjoy the outdoors because sometimes the heat has just been draining. And I mentioned this in our last video that we were out recording, and after 2 hours, we were just drenched, and the life was just kind of sucked out of us. We had to come home and recover. But then I also am not a huge fan of air conditioning, so I'm grateful for the air conditioning, don't get me wrong, but sometimes it bugs my sinuses, so it's a bit of a rough adjustment for me here.
The day we went out and filmed, it was only 87 degrees, which is pretty warm, but it was really humid. But yesterday it was 95 degrees Fahrenheit and humid, and it was just too hot to go outside. We didn't actually go out until after the sunset because it was too hot. So that is a big bummer. They also have a lot of rain here, monsoon season, and it rains a lot most afternoons, and occasionally they get a typhoon. There was one that just went north of here and hit Vietnam and Thailand, and so I would say that the weather and natural disasters aren't great. I'm going to give this a thumbs down.
I got to give it a thumbs down too. Sorry, Kuala Lumpur. We love the city, but there is definitely a strong adjustment period if you are not used to heat and humidity. I actually don't mind the rain that much, but the heat is rough.
Poin yang lagi satu, Amelia dan JP ni bagi tahu adalah dari segi perubatan. Di Amerika katanya, kalau mereka ni nak cari medical service ni, susah sikit. Sebab semua orang kena ada insurans. Dan kalau nak tengok doktor, susah. Bukan senang. Nak dapat appointment, susah. Bukan macam di Malaysia ni. Di Malaysia ni, kalau satu deret kedai tu ada 5 klinik dekat sana. Kalau kita sakit biasalah, macam sesama ke, sakit tekak ke apa pun, kita boleh straight tengok doktor. Tapi dekat Amerika tu tak boleh. Dah dapat appointment tengok doktor, ubat tak dapat dekat sana. Dia bagi surat, kita kena pergi ke farmasi beli ubat. Jadi dia bagi tahu secara detail macam manalah sistem kita di Malaysia ni bagus sangat. Dan kalau mereka ada nak buat appointment temu janji tu, dia kata boleh ambil nombor doktor, boleh WhatsApp, boleh cakap dengan doktor terus. Tapi di negaranya susah katanya. Memanglah saya pun ada dengar cerita macam ni, kena ada macam-macam. Tapi ada jugalah kebaikan dan keburukan kan. Kebaikannya ialah orang takut nak jatuh sakit, dia akan jagalah diri dia. Tapi kita kat Malaysia ni kan tenang kan. Tak apalah kalau kita sakit tu ada doktor. Bila-bila kita boleh jumpa doktor. Tak ada susahnya.
Health insurance and health care are next. And that's the main reason we came here actually, was to get health care. Well, one of the main reasons. We did our health screening here. We talked about that in a different video. And I got to say, I'm really, really impressed with the healthcare here. It's a similar cost as it was in Ecuador. So it's a lot less in the United States. It's all the doctors and nurses. Everybody speaks English in the hospital that we went to, Prince Court. We had such a positive experience. I can't speak highly enough about the healthcare here.
Well, and I like too that just as in many other countries, we're able to go and get prescriptions filled without a prescription. You just go up and ask for it in the pharmacy. So the ease of getting your medication is really nice here. The pharmacists speak English as well, which makes it a huge plus.
Yeah, it does. And you can WhatsApp them. Like I can WhatsApp the hospital to make an appointment or cancel an appointment. I can WhatsApp the doctor. It's amazing. It's so easy to communicate with them. You can get appointments the same day. So Amelia had an appointment in the morning and they told her she needed to see another doctor. She got in a couple of hours later the same day. I was able to get appointments for the next day a couple of times. It's so nice here.
They do have a public system, which we have not used, but we have been very pleased with the private system. And what I find very interesting is that there are multiple private hospitals that cater to the locals and to tourists, because medical tourism is a big thing here. And they are competing for business, and that helps to keep the prices really competitive.
Yeah, we heard on the radio there was an advertisement for one of the hospitals that said if the ambulance ride is less than 20 minutes, I think it was 20, something like that, it was free. So you get a free ambulance ride to go to these hospitals. That's what happens when you have a nice competitive system where they're all working for your business. It keeps those prices down and the service quality up.
So I think we need to give healthcare a big thumbs up.
I wish I'd give them 2 thumbs up for healthcare.
Well, you can. 2 thumbs up.
It is pretty awesome. All right, let's talk about housing next.
We do need to talk a little bit about housing. This is a condo lifestyle. There are some single family homes, but really you're looking at condo living. So if you like that, you're going to be happy here in Kuala Lumpur. And we've really enjoyed it because so many of the buildings have everything you need either in the same building or just within a couple block radius. So they're designed where you can get to everything within 15 minutes, and that's walking. So you do not need a car, which is really important to us.
We did hear from someone in our comments of a previous video that they're renting here long-term for $500 a month in a nice condo building. And we've seen some other videos on YouTube for anywhere from the $500 to $1,000 per month, that you can get a really nice place for that, and it's really affordable. So I think we're going to give housing a big thumbs up for Kuala Lumpur, assuming you're a condo type person.
Exactly. Okay, what's up next?
Next up are food and restaurants, and a lot of people love Kuala Lumpur for the food. Mostly the street food that is what's so popular here. And fortunately, it's not really the type of food that we eat, but I can see why people would like it.
There's a wide variety of restaurants here. International cuisine. We've had Mexican food. We've had
good Mexican too.
Good Mexican, Japanese, American food. If you're into burgers, you can find it all here, and it's well priced.
There are lots of different grocery stores too. We found one called Jaya, I think, in the Lala Port Mall. It's kind of like a Whole Foods version of an Asian market. It's like a high end. You can find anything you want, and there are all kinds of specialty Asian foods, which we really like. And there's several grocery stores around. There's also little shops in each of the neighborhoods, so you can really just stay right local if you want to and get almost everything that you need, including restaurants.
Yes, I've been extremely happy because I've been able to find the Asian spices and Indian spices that I love. So we've actually been cooking a lot. They have really affordable produce here. I got to give food and restaurants a thumbs up.
Yeah, definitely. It's super easy to eat too much here.
Yes, it is.
Next up is walkability and public transportation. And I gotta say, I don't think it's very walkable. I know Amelia's gonna disagree with me on this.
I do disagree.
Because
Okey, lagi satu point yang dia kata thumbs down untuk Malaysia ialah negara Malaysia ni not walkable katanya. Memang betul. Sebab apa? Kalau kita nak pergi jalan di pekan-pekan ke, di kota lah, katakan kota besar macam KL tu, susah kan untuk berjalan kaki. Ada jugalah tempat, tapi bukan semua tempat tu ada tempat khas untuk berjalan kaki. Susah kan? Betul. Jadi dia kata Malaysia ni not walkable. Saya rasa satu sebabnya adalah kerana cuaca. Perasan tak orang Malaysia, kita tak akan jalan banyak sangat kan pasal cuaca panas. Tapi di negara-negara barat ni memanglah dia ada satu lorong ke khas lah untuk berjalan, boleh jalan ataupun orang boleh bawa basikal, dia ada lorong khas. Tapi di Malaysia memang tak ada ya. Jadi itu memang susah, bukan untuk dia orang juga tapi susah untuk rakyat Malaysia juga. Especially senior citizen lah. Macam kita ni, kalau orang muda-muda, okey lah, dia jalan laju, dia lompat sana, lompat sini, dia dah pergi dah.
Sometimes you have to walk like 10 or 15 minutes just to cross a street, and if you want to do it at a crosswalk. So then you see people crossing without a crosswalk and like playing Frogger between cars coming and going in different directions. And sometimes you'll be walking down a sidewalk, it'll turn into a construction zone with a busy road, and you're like hugging up against the barricades for the construction zone, trying to like walk by without getting hit. And I don't know. I'm not a big fan of walking here.
Okay, so I do agree with that. There is some issues with walking. It is not the most walkable place we've been to, especially compared to like France, for example. However, I would argue, and I have argued, that we have been here for 2 months and we have walked all over the place. The key to walking here is you have to learn your way around. So you have to kind of get out and explore, and then you find the best ways to go, because we've found shortcuts and we've been able to avoid some of those tricky walking areas. So that's why we're having a debate on this topic, because I think that if it is walkable compared to some places in the US, for example, that you have to have a car, you do not have to have a car here.
No, you don't. And they also have a lot of public transportation options. So they have the monorail, they have a train system, they have a bus system, they have taxis, and then we use Grab a lot. The Grab app, it's like Uber, only it's here. They do food delivery too, and grocery shopping and all that stuff. But the Grab, only costs us like $2 or $3 to drive from like here to the other side of the downtown area. It's extremely affordable. So we use that almost every day.
Yeah, when we're not walking.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to give walking and public transportation, for me, it's a thumbs down.
For me, it's a thumbs up. So I guess that means it's a thumbs sideways. Time zone, distance from the US. Okay, well, this is rough.
Yeah, it's 12 hours difference from East Coast time here. So that's what, 13, 14, 15 hours from Pacific. But then next week is going to be worse. After daylight savings time in the US, it goes to 13 hours from East Coast and 16 to Pacific. So really, we're asleep pretty much during the work day. We go to bed when people in the US start to work, and then we wake up when they're leaving work. So it makes it really rough if you want to work from here.
Yeah, it's been a challenge for me. I miss my afternoon chats with my mom because I can't call her in the middle of the night, and vice versa. Sorry, Mom, I don't want to talk to you at 1 a.m. And I know you don't want to talk to me at 1 a.m.
Yeah, my mom got confused and called us in the middle of the night one time. And of course, I was freaking out that something was wrong. And when I answered, she said, nothing's wrong. I just forgot what time it was. So it's a challenge being so far away.
If you're working, this could definitely be a challenge for you. You're going to have to adjust your schedule. Luckily, it is a late night culture, and there are places that are open 24 hours here. So it is doable, and we're making it work, but it's an adjustment as well. So I got to give it a thumbs down.
Yeah, for the time barrier, the distance from the U.S. or anywhere in the Western, well, in the Americas.
Well, and that, actually, we didn't even mention that, but it's not an easy trip to get back to the U.S. either. So if something happens and we need to hightail it back, it's a slow travel.
Yeah, we're looking at least 30 hours. Maybe it could be even up to 40 hours to go from here back to see our family in the U.S. So that's brutal.
It is.
Brutal. All right, next up is cost of living. And again, we're going to do an entire video sharing all of our costs since we've been here in Kuala Lumpur. You guys are going to be shocked at how affordable it is. Yeah, this is a fully developed country, or a city. The whole country, maybe not, but the city is fully developed. They have an IKEA, Starbucks all over, coffee shops on every corner, pretty much. They have Cartier and Dolce & Gabbana. I mean, they have everything that a developed city should have. They have it here, all the public transportation. I think we could comfortably live here full-time for less than $2,000 a month.
Oh, I completely agree.
Yeah, and that would be living in a really nice place too.
Yeah.
I mean, our cost of living here, it's been shocking. It's way less than even Albania, which is the cheapest that we had during our time in Europe. And it's less than Ecuador.
It is less than
Even
Ecuador.
though the healthcare is similar, the cost of other things is a lot less.
Yeah. So,
yeah, big thumbs up for cost of living. And remember, and they call it KL here, the locals do. So I like that as someone who uses initials for it.
Okey, apa-apa pun mereka happy dan mereka nak fikirkanlah kalau nak menetap di Malaysia, mereka nak fikirkan kerana mereka ada keluarga di Amerika dan masa pun lebih kurang 12 atau 13 jam berlainan dan mereka memang happy dan berjalan-jalan di Malaysia, makan-makan, buat vlog, duduk di kondo yang mewah, macam itulah cerita mereka ya. Dan kalau anda nak pergi ke channel dia, channel Emilia dan JP Abroad, memang best cerita mereka dan vlog mereka. Terima kasih sekali lagi datang ke Walas Klasik, sokong channel saya dan harap perjalanan anda semua dipermudahkan. Bye-bye, terima kasih.